candidate, he was fundamentally divisive, arrogant. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I never liked him. That was JD Vance just a few years ago. And now that Donald Trump has selected the Ohio Republican senator as his VP pick, Vance's previous hatred of Trump is getting a lot of attention.
Terrible candidate. Idiot if you voted for him. Might be America's Hitler. Might be a cynical a-hole. Cultural heroine. Noxious and reprehensible.
But I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. He's leading our political discourse to a very negative place.
Trump announced the pick over social media. And Vance's history was not the only thing that seemed to overshadow the selection. At roughly the same time on the Republican convention floor, Donald Trump Jr. exploded with an ugly rant when a reporter asked about immigration policy.
Continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents.
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay. Sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
That clip went viral, and so the media rollout of JD Vance as Donald Trump's vice presidential selection was not exactly distraction-free. To be fair, there was probably no way Vance was going to get a clean and focused rollout anyway, given all the attention still in the Trump assassination attempt over the weekend in Pennsylvania. However, even if JD Vance had the media all to himself, his selection would still be extremely controversial. Vance is the youngest vice presidential nomination pick in 50 years. He's also the least experienced in decades, eclipsing even a young Alaska governor in 2008 named Sarah Palin. So how did JD Vance go from relative obscurity to Donald Trump's running mate? Here's part of the video reporting from the Wall Street Journal.
JD Vance has had a meteoric rise in the Republican Party. From a best-selling author and never-Trumper in 2016...
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
...to winning a U.S. Senate seat at age 38. And now, he's former President Donald Trump's running mate.
Elect Donald Trump in 2024. God bless you, sir.
Vance is very much a creature of the new Republican Party that Trump has shaped in his image. By picking Vance, Trump is showing he's doubling down on this MAGA agenda. It's a full-throated, populist, national conservative ticket.
JD Vance first catapulted to public fame in 2016 after he published his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. The book detailed his experience growing up poor in Rust Belt, Ohio, and making it to Yale Law School. It was a smash hit and became a Ron Howard-directed movie in 2020.
When Vance launched his campaign for the Senate in 2021, his stance on Trump underwent a big shift.
I obviously didn't fully appreciate the president's appeal in 2016.
Yeah, he said some bad things about me, but that was before he knew me, and then he fell in love.
He even described himself to me in one interview as a flip-flop flipper on Trump, saying that he had similar policy views but was against Trump as a person until he realized that Trump was advocating for the policies that he supported.
While running for Senate, Vance was one of several pro-Trump candidates in the primary. But in one debate, Vance was the lone candidate to oppose a NATO-enforced no-fly zone over Ukraine, and that caught the eye of Trump's inner circle.
What a no-fly zone, it sounds nice, like we asked the Russians not to fly planes over Ukraine. What it means in practice is American Marine Corps pilots, Air Force pilots, and Navy pilots getting in dogfights with Russian jets. Which the problem with that is it's not in our vital national interest.
That impressed Donald Trump Jr., and he began advocating for Vance's candidacy, including with his father.
By most accounts, JD Vance clicked with Donald Trump. Also, Trump quickly realized that Vance's earnest, almost boring style is never going to overshadow Trump's charisma and attention-seeking personality. So Vance is like another Mike Pence. However, Vance is less experienced than Pence was in 2016, and Vance is more of an outsider and even more of a MAGA conservative. JD Vance supports a national abortion ban, not just leaving it up to the states. As a senator, Vance has proposed legislation that would eliminate gender-affirming care for minors and a bill to eliminate diversity programs in the federal government. Vance supports tariffs on trade, and his foreign policy views are isolationist. He has spoken out against U.S. military interventions overseas and has opposed giving Ukraine aid in the war launched against Ukraine by Russia. A few years ago, JD Vance was slammed for suggesting women stay in violent marriages. Quote, The Ohio Republican and Hillbilly Elegy author said that one of the great tricks that I think the sexual revolution pulled on the American populace was convincing people in unhappy or even violent marriages that getting divorced would make people happier in the long term, according to Vice. In a statement, the Biden-Harris campaign said, quote, Donald Trump picked JD Vance as his running mate because Vance will do what Mike Pence would not on January the 6th, bend over backwards to enable Trump and his extreme MAGA agenda, even if it means breaking the law and no matter the harm to the American people. In strictly political terms, Vance's selection doesn't really help Donald Trump, given that Trump was already expected to win Ohio. Also, as more than a few conservative pundits have said on this day, J.D. Vance is obviously not the most qualified Republican to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. And that raises the question, according to conservatives, if Vance is on the ticket simply because he did an effective job of sucking up to Donald Trump. By the way, the questions are intensifying about the security failures that contributed to the Trump assassination attempt in Pennsylvania.
We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on.
Hours after witnesses described what they saw and even shared video they recorded,
Right on the roof!
the security failure has become even more dramatic. NBC News rooftop where gunman shot at Trump was identified as a security vulnerability before rally.
That the United States Secret Service, according to multiple sources to NBC News, say that they identified this location where this shooting allegedly occurred as a potential vulnerability in the days before the event. The Secret Service tonight, in a statement from a spokesperson, says that they had designated that rooftop under the jurisdiction of local law enforcement, and that's a common practice with securing these outdoor rallies.
But the security breakdown gets even worse.
Several law enforcement officials are telling the AP that a local officer actually encountered the shooting suspect on the top of that building.
All I know is the officer had both hands up on the roof to get up onto the roof, never made it because the shooter had turned towards the officer, and rightfully and smartfully, the officer let go.
The shooter, Thomas Crook, then fired at the Trump stage, reportedly using an AR-15. Crook allegedly squeezed off at least 8 shots before Secret Service counter-snipers spotted Crook and killed him.
The sniper appears momentarily startled by the gunfire, his face leaving the scope, but then quickly recovering and taking out the would-be assassin.
There's no room for error, so that shot placement has to be absolutely precise.
You can see the guy there.
Authorities saying this is the lifeless body of the shooter on the roof of that building.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from MN Drew 1, who wrote, "Local cop who climbed the roof and retreated was a recent transfer from Uvalde." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about the rocky rollout of Trump vice presidential pick, JD Vance. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.